There's a story told about Mother Teresa when she and her sisters were taking care of the poorest of the poor. They found a man laying in the gutter of the street, almost dead, dressed in little more than a rag, flies surrounding him. Mother Teresa knelt down next to him, embraced him, and began to speak softly to him. She began to pick the maggots out of the sores on his body. A passerby looked at the scene and was repulsed. And he said to her, "I wouldn't do that for $1 million. And Mother Teresa said to him, "Neither would I." Love is what motivated her. Love was so strong in her heart that it let her go past all barriers for the sake of showing love to those least fortunate. For what is love then for us? How do we define it? You think about politicians as they talk about things during the campaign. Sometimes they promise stuff that you just have an inkling in the back of your head. It's just too good to be true. I'm just not too sure about that. I'm not too sure they're going to be able to get that done. Too good to be true. Maybe the same thing can be said about Christianity in our world today. It's too good to be true. Because I don't see anybody really living it. You can get as close to this question within your own house. When you think about your marriage, or you with your children, or you in your social circle, would you be described as the one who is known as the one who practices Christ-like love? Would this be something that could be quickly decided as appropriate for your tombstone? Do you show that kind of Christ-like love that he's talking about in the gospel today? Are we capable of accepting others as they are, seeing them always in a good light, dwelling on the positive for an individual? Sometimes when we are hurt by an individual, we have a real hard time seeing them in a good light. Jesus places love as a very, very high standard for us. Years ago, there was a story called The Love Story. And in it was an unfortunately wrong sentence that says, love means never having to say you're sorry. Unfortunately, that's really not true, is it? Pardoning and asking for pardon is part and parcel of loving, because we are never going to be perfect at it. We're not walking saints. We're sinners. We do hold grudges. We do get hurt, and we do hurt. And so pardoning and asking for pardon must be part of this practice of love, loving your neighbor. As our retreat master, our missionary priest spoke about Jesus on the cross when he said, "Father, forgive them, they know not what they do." Jesus was making all sorts of excuses for us. Making excuses for us to the Father. Father, forgive them, they do not know what they do. So this high standard of love in our lives is one that takes root when we practice that particular action of pardoning and being pardoned. Sometimes we harbor grudges. Perhaps it's something that happened years ago, and we've never let it go. Jesus talks about what comes from the heart. From the heart come things like murder and adultery, unchastity, theft, and false witness. If those bad things come from the heart, what good things could come from the heart? What comes from the heart is that intention on our part that I will speak well of others, even those that have hurt me and I disagree with. And by actually carrying out that action, as displeasing as it may be to us inside, our will is conquering our emotions, and we begin to start seeing things as God sees them. Today at this Mass, we start to put words on love. We speak about the gratitude we have for your generosity and your continued connection with this parish and its ministries. And so today it's time for us to kind of put some flesh on the bones of love in our own parish and giving you some information to put your giving, your generosity in the context of the bigger picture. In your pews are all sorts of papers, and the one that we want you to pick up now is the white one that has the graphs on it. And I'd like to turn the amble over to Dave Locke, who is president of the parish council, and to Brandon Mallard, who is president of the finance committee.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First of all, I just want to draw your attention to the graphs, the red and the blue graphs on top of the page. And for those of you who don't like listening to talks, I just want to get one point across. I want you to look at those blue envelope donations and see how they keep going up. And I want to express the profound gratitude of the parish council of Father Cordy at the amazing generosity of this parish. Times have not been easy for our farm economy, and yet these contributions keep going up. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Trends in our budget, I'm going to cover a few points that often come up, and then Brandon's going to cover a few. Our biggest, if you look at the pie graphs on the other side, our biggest chunk of budget is always personnel costs. These are all our lay people, our teachers and such. And I do want to touch on teacher salaries. This is an important issue for us. We did some comparisons recently, and the bad news is that compared to all the other rural Catholic schools in our diocese, our pay is at the bottom. And that's something that we want to improve about. Now, it's not quite as bad as it looks. If you factor in the fringe benefits that we offer to our teachers, it's a little better than that, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. And so over the next several years, the boards at Fort Training and Cedar and the parish council decided on this part start to try to correct that and start to pay our teachers a little bit better because we think they deserve that. Now, another issue that comes up frequently or that people ask us a lot about is what about this assessment? Most of you probably already understand this, but just it always helps to review. Cedar Catholic Holy Trinity belongs exclusively to our parish. Cedar Catholic is a joint effort of all the parishes in northern Cedar County. And so our assessment, our tax to help support Cedar is proportionate to our size in terms of the number of families that we have in our parish. So the biggest parish, so we pay the biggest chunk, it is evenly spread through all the families in northern Cedar County. This year, our assessment did go up, the amount of money we have to pay to Cedar, but the good news is this is the first increase we've had in the last 4 or 5 years. But that money will be spent this year. We also often get questions about the windows. I have to tell you, they are beautiful windows, at least from right here. People often worry about how those windows are going to be paid for, and I want to how they've been paid for. I want to point out that all that money that we're giving you in those blue bars and envelope, none of that money pays for these windows. We had a special needs appeal, and Father used some of that money to purchase the windows from a company I think was in Georgia that had recovered these windows from a church that was being closed down somewhere in Pennsylvania. So that's how we purchased the money. That's how we got the money to pay for the windows and get them up here. And then Father got private donors to pay for the cleaning and refurbishment and installation of the windows into our building. That has been done by Cruzy Glass. And again, that was done by private donations outside of the individual donations and the amounts that you see on your charts. So again, none of the money that you give on Sundays has gone towards these windows. And I love it. And the last thing I want to cover before I hand over to Randy is I do want to express our appreciation to Rosemary Cobb, who gave us 35 years of dedicated service, watching our money for us, keeping us in line. She's not one for parties, so we didn't throw her one. But if you see Rosemary around, please tell her thank you, because she did a great job for us. I'm going to hand it over to her.
Dave mentioned the special needs appeal, and as was promised with that, any additional funds that were raised over and above the goal were to go towards improvements to the church and to the school. So some other projects that appeal have benefited. Most recently, you probably noticed the fence that was installed to the west of the elementary school. That was a project that was talked about for several years and was finally able to be completed because of some of the extra funds from that special needs appeal. In addition to that, the primary need was getting a new roof on the grade school, which was done. There was also some cleaning and tucking in of the brick at the school. Heating and air conditioning systems in the church were replaced. The organ speakers were covered along with the floor for the storage area up there. There was a new tractor purchase, new snow removal equipment, a new mower, a new PA system for the church here, and later this summer, 2 doors will be installed at the church here. And again, none of those funds were taken from the operating budget. Just an update on the road project. You might have saw in the letter that went out that 10 years ago there was an agreement made with the public school that a road would be constructed between the 2 schools heading south to the county road. So part of that agreement said that both parties would agree to have funding in place to pave that road within a 10-year time period. So here we are now 9 years into that agreement, and we happen to have a paving crew that's a block away. So we thought it would be an appropriate time to get that project done. The Finance Committee voted to not have any special fundraisers for that. There is enough in savings and contingency funds to do that project. Holy Trinity's share of that, which would be 50% of that cost, would be about $53,000. So that is expected, I just heard a couple of days ago, the project is expected to start on Wednesday of this week. The road will be closed Tuesday. They'll start right away on Wednesday. They'll start going from the east to the west. And the last piece of the project will be paving our road to the south. And so they expect that to be done around August 1st, obviously weather permitting. Just an update on the Moving Cedar Forward campaign that started about a year ago. That was a $1.9 million campaign. The primary purpose of that was to pay off the debt at Cedar Catholic, which was about $1.5 million. It's already been paid down to $947,000. With additional pledges received that have already been made, that will be paid down to $420,000. So in a year's time, there's been $1 million either pledged or received for that alone. So in addition to replacing some diesel buses and providing for some contingency funds for the Cedar Catholic operating budget, once that debt is paid, it'll free up $160,000 in annual payments that are going right now to pay off the improvements that were done at Cedar Catholic. So when that loan is paid off and those payments are freed up, that will allow some of the development office's revenue from different fundraisers to go directly into the Cedar Catholic budget, which will be a huge help. Finally, you probably noticed most recently the landscaping project on the southwest corner of the church property here. Father Gordy generously donated the cost of the landscaping blocks for that, rented the sod cutter, and did a lot of the work along with Dan Cobb's help. Mark Addison, Lee Lammers, and some 6th graders were able to help with that as well, so we appreciate their efforts with that. Father and Dan will be providing for the cost of the plants and shrubs that will go in there, so you'll see that going in the next few reviews. And finally, just to summarize and to touch on some of Dave's points, the budget is tight, probably always has been and always will be, but the reality of the situation is it costs $1.3 million to run Holy Trinity every single year. About 95% of those costs are fixed and will not change. And so there will be a need, there will always be a need, and we are very, very appreciative of everybody's continued in spite of any circumstance. As Dave mentioned, the farm economy is less than desirable, and not to mention the Moving Cedar Forward campaign that started a year ago, and the special needs appeal that started 2 years ago. In spite of all that, everybody continues to give in a big way. And so we again appreciate in advance everybody's faithful giving in the past and going forward as well. So we would encourage anybody with any questions about the state of the parish finances, where things go, how things get paid for, to contact myself or Dave. We're more than welcome to, we're more than open to fielding any questions you have. You're the givers of the what makes the $1.3 million budget look every year, so you definitely deserve to know where those funds are going and how things get paid. So feel free to contact us with any questions. So thank you, and God bless you all.